Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game Day Squads Aussie Rules live show. We are here for the second round, or second last round of the season. It's a bit sad, but two more chances to win prizes, so it's time to knuckle up and get ready. I'm joined by good friend and co-host in Cal to look at this round, have a look at the players you should start, players you should avoid, and maybe some ones to watch heading into 2025. So, Cal, mate, how are we going? Are you ready to talk footy?
I am, as always. A little bit sad that you say we got 2 rounds to go. I know we're getting to the spicy end of finals and a lot of other stuff happening at the moment, but it's been a good season. I've enjoyed it. I would have liked a
Hasn't
few
it?
more top 10 wins, but it's been enjoyable nonetheless. So, yeah, keen to talk about it. I've made a few decisions this week, pulled a few players I've not played this year. So I'm keen to get your thoughts on them. And
Okay.
yeah, there's some good matchups in there as well to chat about, a few fantasy friendly ones that I'm sure we'll dive into. So yeah, let's get into it.
Let's do it, man. 100%. Well, firstly, let's just talk about speaking of heading into finals, Swans, Port, 1 and 2 right now, our two teams. So isn't that who would have thought before the season started that we would be sitting here in heading into round 23, both of us on top. Now, mind you, you're in a pretty tight race for the top, and we are only one game ahead of you, but it's very spicy. These next two games mean everything for so many teams. So it's really going to be a fantastic week of footy, and hopefully my fantasy squad can replicate that as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm in a bit of a love-hate position at the moment with Port. I love that they're there, but I also hate that they're second because it means we have to go through this coaching cycle again.
Yep.
But I'm also really happy for the Swans. As you know, my partner is a Swans fan, so it is my second team. But yeah, there'll be no if we both get there on grand final day, which I'm not betting Port will at all. Yeah, there'll be no. Yeah, you know who I'll be going for.
For sure. Well, mate, I have pulled up a kickoff question for this round, and I'm going to need to explain. So if you're watching along, feel free to leave a comment about what your answer would be. But this is just to get the brain activated, get going. So Kel, I need a scenario. Let's say the government tomorrow just went absolute all ban on soft on like just fast food chains, everything. But there was one rule, one condition, is that you could salvage one item. So not an entire franchise. So you can't say like McDonald's, but you can get like one item from a fast food chain to keep, and you could have it for the rest of your life. What item are you going to be picking, and why?
Oh, you're a little bit cutting off on me there. If anyone's following along there, either on Twitter or you Facebook, just let me know if it's just me that's getting that feedback or if you guys are getting that too. But hopefully you can hear me okay here, Tom. If I heard that right, I'm picking one item. Is it on a fast food thing or is it in general? Is it just a food in general I'm salvaging?
I guess it's it's an item from a fast food chain, but you pick the entire chain, so you can just pick the one item.
Gotcha. I think I'm going to go the Cali burrito from GYG.
Oh, very good choice.
You know how much I love. You know how much I love my GYG. I wish I could. I was tossing up there between the breakfast burrito as well. Also, 10 out of 10 if you've not had it before. But yeah, that would be my choice. I'm a big GYG guy. So yeah, but that's no surprise for you, I'm sure. What are you going with?
Well, I was going to go with a GYG brekkie burrito, but to keep things interesting, I won't because it's been taken. So I'm going to go elsewhere. And
you're always saying I'm stealing your picks here, hey? Well, I'm sure you'll call it out halfway through the stream for me following one of your picks this week, and here you are stealing my food choices.
I'm going to salvage a pepperoni pizza from Domino's. That's what I'm going to salvage. I don't know why it's pepperoni. I do like other flavors of pizza, but I just feel like it's so safe, and it's just one of those things that I would enjoy a lot. And if I had to pick one, it's like I'm feeling like some pepperoni pizza. Let's go.
Safe one, bit vanilla, but it's all right. It's still good.
Let's get into it. First game of the round is going to be the Swannies taking on Essendon. You can see there some of the matchup matrix. It's looking a bit yellow, but there are some positives, and that is Essendon. Rucks been leaking points over the past 5 rounds, and then of course Sydney forwards, or the Sydney defending forwards. So that would be so, mate. Let's talk. We've got the top averaging players there as well. The last 5 rounds. Cal, you are going 3 players in this one, opting to not play Errol Goulden. But let's start off with the play. Zach Merritt. What do you love about Zach Merritt against the Swans, and why?
Well, unfortunately, I'm still getting that rattle in my ear here. So what I might do, because no one's actually said that it's a you issue, Tom, so it might be a me issue. I might have to just reset this. Maybe you start by talking about Heaney. I'll quickly try and adjust my mic, and I'll try and be back with you in 20 seconds.
No worries. All right. Good luck. Well, let's talk about Errol Goulden, Isaac Heaney. Well, I think the Swans made a call last week and for the season that Errol Goulden's matchup proof, and I guess what, he probably had his worst performance of, or one of the worst performances of the season for that round. So it's not looking very good coming off that. But Errol Goulden averages about 20 kicks per game. Last week, he only got 81 fantasy points, and that is the fantasy output we have seen from him. I saw that there was a bit of a tag as well with side bottom. So, tough week, but Errol Goulden's bouncing back. I think against Essendon, it's going to be good. Do you think it could be me, Cal? Should I
Oh, you sound better for me now, but if it is playing up, apologies. Okay. Just let us know. But you're sounding good to me now, and I heard that you're sweet talking about Goulden getting back into form.
I was.
Yeah, I think that goal at the end of the game, I think that he was obviously getting the clamps on him, but I know you've said he was matchup proof. I followed you and the Seaman who's leading first in the classic competition. I finally was like, you know what? I don't love the matchup, but I'm still just going to roll with Goulden. And the 1 week, he has his worst week. So, no, I've not jumped off him because of his poor week. I've actually gone, I'm looking for a bit of a different pod where I'm at, right? So you're obviously still in the hunt for top 10. I'm well and truly out of it. So I'm just trying to change things up. And obviously an okay matchup there for Goulden. But I think there's a few other really sneaky options this week across the midfield. And one of them who potentially people won't be thinking about is Merritt because of the matchup, because the Swans are historically really hard to score against. As you can see there, 15th over the last 5 rounds. And, you guys haven't been in the best form in those last 5 rounds either. So it's not exactly like it was at the start of the year where you were flogging people. But I'm thinking Merritt. I'm thinking Merritt. And you can see there, look at those averages over the last 5, pretty much the same as Goulden. So it's not a crazy one. But I'm just thinking, does Nick Martin do something funny with his position again this week? But yeah, I just like Merritt. You know me, I've been playing him a lot this week, so I'm going to roll with him again and trying to do something different with Goulden. I don't love Caldwell this week. I don't know how you feel about him. I've got him in there because forwards are so thin. I probably would have loved to have played both Curnow and Mackay if I could this week. Back one of them to go big in that game. But having both of them out has really hurt that position. And it means that, it means that I'm going to have to play Caldwell, but I also don't love it. So.
Too easy. Fair enough. Heaney, I just think, season he's having, mate, last week he was phenomenal, to say the least. And as a forward for this season, look, going to ride the wave. Only 2 more rounds. I'm going to be able to put him in my forward line. And guess what? He should be a midfielder in 2025. So let's enjoy the good times while they're rolling. And I agree with Caldwell. Forwards are thin this round. I did want to call out one thing that I thought was interesting, Cal, is Callum Mills. Looks like he might be on ball for this one. Smack bang in the guts. So is this something to look at heading into 2025? I always like to put my dynasty cap on. Should we be looking at Callum Mills as a potential option? I'm not saying for this round, but I'm saying for the future. Could this Mills of Pryor come back into our lives?
I'm laughing because I was on the transfer market just before we started the show because I'm trying to get a player, which I'll touch on later. And what do I see at the top of the transfer market? Your Diamond Mills up for sale. So your answer is clearly no, you don't think Mills is ever coming back.
Well, hold up. I had it up for sale before, and then I actually was going to do a trade with him and realized that it fell through, and then it just has been sitting in my club. So I have a bit of an issue though. I want to open up more All-Star packs, and I'm hoping my Mills can fund my All-Star pack addiction at the moment. So that sort of was the thought process. That look, hopefully someone can get a deal. I can get some All-Star packs. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I don't think Yeah, I think your price is a little bit steep there. Me personally, I wouldn't be wanting to go anywhere near Mills. Funny we're talking about dynasty here. I was actually having a look over at the Keeper League draft rankings. Our good friend and partner Hef. I was curious to see where he had a few people at the start of the year versus where they've kind of ended up. I've just got it here in front of me, so I'm interested with Mills. Where he bounces back, because obviously at the start of, as you remember, at the start of last year, he had Mills top 3. Top 5, I want to say, as a player. So he was right up there and obviously fallen right off. But there's some really interesting stuff. I've looked in there and you'll find a few things. I recommend, if you're not following Hef and all the good stuff he's doing at the Keeper League, go have a look, because it's amazing to see how far a few players have jumped and fallen. But no, Mills is one of those people. I think he's fallen and he's not coming back. So yeah, do not buy Tom's Mills.
Wow. Fair call. Well, knowing you and how you've gone this season, maybe not the advice to be taking. Eh? Let's get into game 2, the Suns versus Melbourne. This is going to be up in the Goldie. And you know what it could be? Could be Noah Anderson. I know you agree. I'm agreeing. Noah loves to hold it down. At people's first in his fortress up north. So, Cal, what made you want to play Noah? And, yeah.
The matchup. Melbourne have been leaking points to midfielders. You can see that both these two teams over the last 5 rounds there, you can see the best scoring sides or players you want to be playing in midfield against. Melbourne 1, Gold Coast 2. So I don't love the form that they've been in at the moment, but Noah Anderson, I'm going to have to back the matchup in there. I almost didn't play him, but I did want to play him because I'm not sure if a few people would be off him based on the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I just can't turn down that matchup. I've just watched midfielders go to town, including my boys last week. So back up at people's first. I think obviously their season's done, but they're playing for a bit of pride there. So I'm not completely thinking they're going to throw in the towel. But yeah, that Melbourne midfield, Clary now out of this game. I love it more on the other side of Rivers. So even though Rivers had a stinker last week, it's interesting to see we've gone both back on him, thinking he's going to be Melbourne's big midfielder coming up, back up against that Suns midfield that does score. And you've gone in with a Silva, so you love him that little bit more than I do. Do you want to add
had a
to
little bit of
Rivers?
extra? Just had a little bit of extra salary cap building my squad this round, and I thought bit of an upside player. It's him in the guts. So I thought going to put the Silva on Trent Rivers for the round, and then of course Sam Flanders is just Sam Flanders. We continue to roll out with him.
Yeah, fair enough. With Flanders, I can see it. Obviously, it's a smart thing to play with him this week. Even with forwards being so thin, I don't help myself by not rolling out Flanders, who's been an absolute lock in everyone's squads for the last little bit. But he has dropped off a little bit. And obviously had a poor score. He's two poor scores in a row here since their season was basically done. I think he's gone about 82-80, if I'm not wrong. So I'm not liking the trajectory of that. Maybe he's a candidate for someone who's already booked his holidays. He knows the year's done. And looking at the average, looking at the raw numbers and looking at who you're potentially replacing him with, probably not the smart thing. But yeah, I'm going to try and zag here and go against Flanders. And I've got hopefully some of the forwards I tell you about later. You'll see where I've gone.
Interesting. Can't wait to see that. But mate, no Maxi Gawn from either one of us. I guess that's probably one of the only other players you would consider starting in this one. But I don't think it's against Gawn thing. It's more of a Rowan Marshall, Tristan Cherry are like the 2 best players in the comp right now, and probably should be starting them instead.
You obviously were known. You took the lead with the All-Star selections. There was a few things that went into it, so it wasn't just you. But one of the ones I know you were thinking about was we've got to go Marshall from where we're at the season. But we knew Cherry was coming. Looking at it now, how lucky do you think Marshall is that he's actually got an All-Star and Cherry's missed out?
I think Gawn's lucky.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, I meant Gawn.
I think Gawn's and look, he's a bit older. This might be the last time we do see an All-Star come from Big Maxi. It could be time to pass the torch, and the 3 younger rucks in Marshall, Cherry, and English at that are going to be it's in good hands, the rucks for fantasy. But very lucky, let's say that. I reckon if we waited to the end of the season, that case would be so So strong to put
It'd be close because
Cherry
you forget
in.
that when Gorn, before he went down, he was the highest scoring player. So
Yeah.
he's just
But
obviously
Cherry's been the
missed the
highest
time.
scoring player over
I-
multiple rounds, it feels like. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I had the numbers up here. I think he's averaging like 170 across his last 3, if I have that right, which is just absurd when you think about it. So I think he'll be a big candidate for people loading up on salary on him this week, but we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure.
Let's talk about that in a second. Let's get into game 3, Cal. We've got the GWS Giants versus Real the way to go. And we're both back on Luke Ryan, the king of chippies. Both of us are back.
Couldn't quit. Couldn't quit him. Had a week off and said, nah, never again. And look, he's straight back into my squad. Obviously not a fantastic matchup against the Giants, but he's just been so good. You can't not play him after last week, right? And he's back in that role.
Exactly.
And you've obviously gone for a silver as well. So again, that little bit more, you think he's going to go better. 2 really good defenders options in this week.
Oh yeah. I'm pumped. I can't wait to. I've been missing the old Luke Ryan, so it's good to have him back. And then Lucky Whitfield, 2 of the strongest defender fantasy outputters over the entire season. So I thought it was a bit of a no-brainer to me. Let's stack the 2 in this one. And although the matchup matrix would indicate absolutely no, they are some of the worst matchups in the competition. But I just think play style, team need just screams yes to me. And I'm going to back them both in to still score well, although the numbers are screaming go elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think that's looking at them here. Last 3 rounds, they've both gone 135. So Ryan's slightly over it, Whitfield's slightly under 135. So head to head, if I had to give you one, Whitfield or Ryan, who scores more this round?
Whitfield's safer. Ryan has more upside. I can't tell you. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Whitfield has been safer all year, it feels like. But Ryan can go nuts for like 190 at any point.
Depends how straight Jesse Hogan's kicking the footy, right? If Jesse Hogan's having a bad day, Luke Ryan having a good day. I've gone Brayshaw this week, so I'm continuing to roll with his late season resurgence. He's been quite good, now favouring him over Sarong in most of these head-to-heads to finish off the season. Again, I'm just looking. I don't love the matchup on the matrix. It's not like the Giants are an easy team to play against, but I'm backing in the talent of him this week. And like I said, you can see there, he's been in good but not great form, but has the ability to have that boom game, that 150, that 160. That's what I'm chasing this week with him. So I'm really excited about that. And making his debut for my squad this week, Peatling. Up forward, has been in some really, really good form. I'm just bringing up his numbers here compared to some of the forwards over the last few rounds. Do you know where he's sitting?
I think he's coming off a couple 100-point outings, maybe back-to-back 190 up before that. I'm not exactly sure.
Sitting 3rd at the moment over the last 3 rounds, only behind Zorko and my other boy, Tom Powell. So he is in hot form. Again, not an awesome matchup, but I was sure I was going to see Peatling in your squad this week. So probably more than why I'm playing him, because obviously it's the form, it's the role that he's got there at the moment. Why are you not playing him?
Well, I don't want to talk you out of it. You should continue to play Peatling, but Stephen Coniglio is back this round. And I know one big contributor to why Peatling has been playing so well is that he's had a really good stream of midfield minutes. So anyone that's watching the stream, I highly advise don't start Peatling. He's not going to be playing the same role. But, Cal, be my guest. You need the upside play, and I would love for you to start James Peatling in your forward line.
Yeah, and Cog's coming back in. Not great for it, but I don't know. Just been so good. We'll see.
He's been very good. And look, I do think there's midfield time there, but I think Cogs is going to eat a chunk of those CVAs that he's been getting. And the upside, I think, drops off a little bit, but you know, it's a really thin round for forwards. And I guess your thought process is that around that 100, 115 mark is perfect. And he can.
You don't need much. Like yeah. And I'm think about someone over Flanders, right? So we'd say, why would you play a Peatling over someone like Flanders, even in a reduced role? Flanders is going at 80. Can Peatling hit that? Like you said, he doesn't need to go 150, like the 121 he's been averaging the last few rounds. Just needs to be 105. And I'd be pretty happy with that, particularly with those thin forward stocks this week. But yeah,
Absolutely.
should be a good game, that one.
Yeah, for sure. I actually really can't wait to watch this one. I'll tell you what, Jordan Clark, this round for me, just didn't consider him because I like other matchups. And also, I thought had to be one or the other. Had to be Luke Ryan for me, had to be Jordan Clark. And I thought the king of chippies, the man himself, the old Slim Shady. Now he's got his hair back, which is a bit sad. But
I had Clark in my squad. I was thinking about it. Again, he's another that's been in good form the last few rounds.
Absolutely.
I went a different direction. I've gone with I was. It's a pretty vanilla defense for me when you see it all together. But yeah, I have gone someone else. So, but I did consider it. Cool. He was in my squad.
And Hayden Young as a mid, the Giants are really good at shutting down mids in terms of fantasy points, and they have all their mids back. So that's going to go to a whole other level for me this round. So Hayden Young was a big avoid for me at defender this round because there's just much better matchups elsewhere. And I think we've covered this round quite well, Cal. Let's talk about women's fantasy footy and the women's Aussie Rules game that we're having on Game Day Squad. The season is rapidly approaching, and if you haven't already, make sure you submit your squad for the season that's coming up. We do have a refresher of packs coming out on Monday for the women's Aussie Rules game. So if you sign up today, you will get your starter packs for signing up, and then you'd also get another batch on the Monday as well. So I couldn't tell you and suggest more that if you're thinking about playing women's Aussie Rules fantasy this season, now is the best time to sign up and do it. Whether you already have a Game Day Squad account or not, trust me, get online. It's free to play. It's free to win, and it's the best chance if you have it a good start is by getting both of those packs. So yeah, now that I got that out of the way, Cal, I can't wait for women's Aussie Rules to come back. We're so close.
Yeah, I've been opening up my squads, as you know. I'm on my packs every week, as you know. I played last year, but I wasn't as involved with it as you are. But I'm ready to go this year. You're doing obviously some cool stuff with Bales this week. You kicked off on our YouTube channel and over with him as well. So you did the positional changes. I think next Wednesday is the play rankings. Yeah, which is always a good one. So hopefully I'll watch that one, make a bit of a cheat sheet, and you'll tell me who I need to be going after. And I can, you always give me a stick for following your trades in the men's and following your squads. But I'll be following you guys blindly this year. So yeah, hoping that you guys are doing your research and helping lead us along the way. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. What starts in 2 weeks?
It's definitely are. 2.5. Yeah, very close. It's coming. But with that being said, I also think we might also do a little combined proposed 2024 All-Star squad as well. Me and Bales will put our rankings together and work out who we think together will be the All-Star squad. And then we'll see maybe at the end of the season how that actually goes. Will we close at all, or will we a country mile off? But let's get into game 4. Cal, we're talking about Collingwood and the Lions. This is the grand final rematch from last season. There's a bit of bad blood in this one, but one team is on fire and the other one is just about done. I think mathematically they might be, or they're just about to be done. Just about done. They looked pretty good against you guys last week. They didn't look done, or maybe that just shows you where your level's at. If there's a team that looks done and you need a little last minute goal to save you, to save it. Three really good quarters from them, but unfortunately, not a fourth. Big thing we've both done here is we've both faded Nick Daicos. So I was a week ahead of you, or a round ahead of you, by the way. I did that last round, but now you've jumped on with it. I've followed suit. Yeah, obviously tough matchup, and the form hasn't been there. And like we've spoken about, there are a few other really good defenders knocking on the door. So he's probably the big shock, considering where we would have had him in the rankings. So we were just speaking out there at the start of the year. He would have been defender 1 or. Yeah, he would have been. I'm sure we would have had him ahead of a Sheasel. Yeah. I'm looking at I've still got the Keeper League Dynasty ones. They've all got Nick Daicos at 1. I wonder if they'll all have him at 1 heading into next year. But that's for next year's show. We can think about that. I obviously like the Lions this week. I have to show that shows by me playing Danaher. So you don't play a key forward unless you're going to think he's going to kick a bag. And I actually think that the Lions are going to blitz him this week. So I don't actually have a bronze Danaher. As you remember, I saw a Platinum Jack Steel up on the market, went, you beauty,
I'm snapping that up for bronze Joey Danaher, only to realize that I didn't have a second Danaher, and now I've been chasing to try and get one since for this moment because I want to play him in my squad. So if you are following along and you do have a second bronze Joey Danaher, please let me know. Happy to make a trade for him. I want him in my squad. I reckon he could kick 5-6, get up the ground, score 130, 140 this week. So I want every bit of that. And then obviously Zorko is Zorko. But you've obviously gone Dunkley, who missed a quadruple double. I can see him racking up the stats here this week. And you obviously think so well as well, coming up against a Collingwood midfield that has leaked points this year.
Yeah, 100%. And I know they're 7th in recent form, but they're top 4 for the season. So they're really there, whether you're looking at recently or season long. And Dunkley, I did hear some whispers that Collingwood want to tag Neale in this one. Lachie Neale is their go-to man. They're going to put a body onto him. And that's only, if that is the case, it's only going to be more points for Dunkley, because if they're not going to give him attention, he's way too good of a player to not go bonkers. So Josh Dunkley's had a fantastic season, regardless of form and Neale getting a tagging role. But I think that just gave me some extra confidence, some extra security going into this one. And that I'm backing in Josh Dunkley for a big game and to be one of the top 6 scoring midfielders for the round. Hence why I started him. So I'm really bullish. And of course, got a silver version of him. Don't have anything higher, but I like the way I rounded out my midfield. Everyone sort of has the silvers, and I've got my all-stars. So happy to be starting him this one, because he's been a feature of my squad, but I wouldn't say a regular.
Yeah, he's been in and out, but I can start to see what you're doing with your strategy this week. You've got a lot of silvers in here. So obviously around your couple of all-stars. So I can see you're sort of just a bit on a few people you like. You're not going all in on the salary on the rucks or things like that. But
yeah,
no, I like it. I'm keen to see it at the end.
I've never been an all-in guy type like you, because you know how on the flip side of being it and it doesn't go well, how much it can hurt you on a round. And I feel like that early this year hurt you and maybe put you in the hole that you potentially dug yourself.
I wasn't like this at the start of the year, I can promise you, but I tell you what, it was pretty good knowing I had the Platinum Marshall and the Gold Cherry last week and watching them both just tee off. So putting the salary in on those two boys and getting those higher cards is fantastic. So yeah, I can see it, but it should be a good game. Hopefully Collingwood at the G makes it a bit more interesting, and the Lions with their G, there hasn't been great form down there. It might make it a good game, but no, I think the Lions come out, flog them, and yeah, fantasy scores should reflect that.
Yeah, mate, for sure. Well, mate, I guess a big watch. Ashcroft could be back in the middle. He looks like he's getting to full health again, full strength, and he's looked really, really good.
Yeah, 130 points, I believe, last week. And it's kind of, if you don't have an Ashcroft card, go get one now, because I think another full preseason under his belt, he is going to be a hot card heading into next season. So,
for sure.
Yeah, I am still chasing a few Ashcrofts myself, but yeah, he looks awesome, and awesome to see come back from the ACL. So and in such good form as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and could be a major piece heading into the finals for the Lions at that as well. So massive dynasty watch on Ashcroft if he didn't have that tag already for being such a young gun. But yeah, definitely a card you're going to want for the future. Let's get into the showdown. Cal, your Port Power taking on the Crows and my other co-host on the women's side, Bales. This is the battle of you two.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be a good one. Do you know why?
Why's that?
Kenny's last showdown.
Last. You're having a laugh, mate.
The only way he's not there is if we're in a prelim, and I don't think anyone thinks that happened. So, no, I'm super pumped for it. I hope we go out and absolutely blitz the Crows. It'll be fantastic. Yep. Put a bit of pressure on you guys. If Eston give you a scare on Friday night, we could be on top of the table come Saturday night, which would be a crazy thought. But from a fantasy perspective, I really do love the midfield role this week for the Port players. And there was a few I was looking at. I did actually even think about playing Jason Horne-Francis at 1.2, which was crazy. But his form, I don't know if you've noticed it of late. he's actually been in some pretty good form. But I
Yeah.
stayed away.
Yeah.
I stayed away from Butters. I'm rolling with Rosie. I've got my prize card there, so I'm going to have to do it, even if he's maybe not the three of the midfielders I would love to play.
Yep.
But then I also have gone Denny Houston down back. So I really love the matchup against the Crows. I think he's going to go big. He's been in awesome form as well. He's going to finish. I reckon he might finish as a top 7 defender the way he's running this season. The last big couple of rounds coming up. But yeah, I'm surprised you've stayed completely off the Port side and you think that Geordie Dawson is the way to go. Who, bit of a showdown specialist, old Geordie. But yeah.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think big time player, big time game, at least for the Crows. Their season's well and truly done. Sorry, Bales, for the bit of a jab, but this does mean a lot to them. A lot of history in this, and they're going to step up. They're going to come to the plate, and Jordan Dawson's going to lead them from the front. Of course, I still have those concerns about what Jordan Dawson's role is going to be for the entire game. If he can just stay as a midfielder, my goodness, I think he's in for a cracker week. And Dan Houston was a strong consideration for me. I must say, I really did want to put him in there, but I've just gone elsewhere this round. But he's fringe for me. So let's say that. Like, Houston would have been my 8th defender if you could have put an 8th defender in. He was very, very close to cracking into my top 7. And because he is sort of a big-time player as well. And coming off that half-back, it's just the way that the Crows play. I think it's either going to go one of two ways. He's going to go nuts, or he might get held a bit quiet. But I'm leaning more to the first option there and going nuts and just being an amazing ball distributor, as he always is.
How many genuine defenders, not just fantasy defenders that, maybe change positions, but genuine defenders are a goal threat every single game? I both absolutely love how much he can kick a goal from 60, him and Farrell.
Yeah, that's true.
But I still do not understand how it's not one of the first things that's on the board when you play against them. Do not let these two guys run off the mark. And they just do it every single week. And I watch it and I'm like, bang, 8 points for the goal, 4 points for the kick. I'm like, give me 3 more of them. So yeah, he's got that upside to go big. So I love it.
He has a knack for putting some big finishes through those sticks, mate. He's an excellent player. But anyone else you want to talk about in the showdown? No Butters for you? Didn't want to ride with Butters this round?
Nah, showdowns. I've got enough there with it being Ken's last game and obviously going pretty big in Rosie. So gotta keep things simple when it's a big game.
Don't be silly, mate. Ken's coming back for another couple next year. He can't wait. So let's go. Let's get into game 6. We're going to be talking about the Saints versus Geelong. And in this one, I've loaded up. You can see here, I'm going 4 different players. And to start that off, it is going to be with a gold Marshall. I'm super excited about Marshall and what he can do for this round. Just the matchup screams to me. Geelong have been known to give up a lot of fantasy points to Ruck. So Marshall, I did have the gold. I wanted to make sure that I'm using his gold this round because I feel like he could be one of the top scoring players for the round period, let alone just for his position. So that was my thought process there. And you can see that Cal definitely agrees with me. He's gone the platinum Marshall as well. He's loving the matchup. He's loading up on salary cap and wants the biggest multiplier possible for what could be a fantastic outing for him.
Why wouldn't you want to load up on this guy? 168, 151, 158. They're his last 3 games. And then the other 2 before that, 143, 173. It's not a should I play the best card I have of Marshall? It's what's the best card I have of Marshall and get him in your squad. And put him beside there with Cherry and just leave it. Build your squad around that. So, yeah, I think gold's good, but platinum's better and probably diamond and legend the best. So I don't know that the Marshall legend's out there yet. Do you know that off the top of your head? Is he in the wild?
I have to do some investigating there, mate. I don't know that off the top of my head, though. No.
Let's see if I can find that out. Why you tell me why it's a Sinclair and Miller a week, because you can never pick between the two. So this week you've chosen both, which means that you should be playing neither of them.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're going off my track record, it means avoid heavily the Saints pairing of defense. But I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm really hoping that Jack Sinclair has been in such ripper form. He has been one of the best fantasy defenders literally in the game over the past couple of weeks. And I don't think that'll be any different He's coming off a stretch of 139, 154, 121, and 129 fantasy points. I did have a look at the players that the Saints have named in the midfield. I do think there's going to be a good stream of midfield minutes for Sinclair in this one and CBAs. And as you can see there, the Geelong midfield matchup has been pretty fantasy friendly throughout times of this season. So I'm definitely looking at that as a little bit of upside for him. And then in terms of Wanganeen Miller as well, he's just so good. And I'm really hoping that just play style wise, these two teams and how they're going to want to play, it's going to be fast moving. The ball's going to be going through the guts and there could be some turnovers. And I feel like Miller is at his absolute best when the ball turns over and he can get space. So I'm just looking at it and envisioning how the game's going to go. And I'm hoping that if that is the case, then Miller should be having a pretty fantastic outing. But I feel like with him, you sort of know in the first quarter whether he's going to have a good day because he'll either be on like 30 or 40 fantasy points early or he'll be on nothing and you'll be sitting there like, oh no.
Oh, no, I've got the wrong one.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, we're definitely spoilt for defenders this round. So, this game. So, your three of Sinclair, Miller, and Stewart over the last 3 rounds, all 3 of them are in the top 8 for the last average score. So, they're all in awesome form. Sinclair averaging 138 off his last 3. So, he's been the pick of the bunch. And I can see a lot of people going big on him this week. So, yeah, no surprises that he's one of the other players you rolled in with a silver. But outside of this, I was interested in seeing how Philippou was going, but he's obviously out with illness again, which is no good. I think illness is normally one thing, so I hope he's all right. Don't know if we'll see him again for the rest of the season, but he was probably the only other player that I was thinking about. But, you know, my rule, I wouldn't have played him if he was back this week anyway.
For sure. Well, unless we're not talking about Tommy Stewart, but Tommy Stewart in this one, look, he's named in the midfield. He's been getting a good stream of midfield minutes, CBAs, and then he's also dropping into defense. They've worked out how to maximize Tom Stewart in terms of his output, Geelong, and I'm so happy because it just felt like for that first part of the season,
what a roller coaster, hey. He started strong and then just tagged and didn't know how to deal with the tagged, looked miserable, and then has been one of the best fantasy players to finish off the second half of the year. It's a tale of 2 seasons for Tommy Stewart, but I do love watching him up and about. He's a good player to have, so yeah, I imagine he'd be in most people's squads this week as well.
And for him, I only have a bronze card. I would play a silver, though, in all honesty. If I did have the silver, just don't have it, but that's okay. I'd rather play him than to not have him at all. None of us went the forward pairing in terms of Myers and Cameron in this one. Look,
I'm done with Myers for the year.
Yeah, I can't pick his good games, and I can't get his bad ones off my squad as well. So I'm just trying to avoid at all costs at the moment. And that might not be a smart strategy because he has been so good. But if I can't work it out, I may as well.
So 112, 58, 111 his last 3, and then 61, 135. So he literally is in the yo-yo. And he had a better week last week, which probably means he's due for a down one this week. And look at that matchup matrix. St Kilda, the way they play the footy, they just don't give the forwards a lot of footy for the other team. So yeah, not someone I'd be going for. And yeah, Jeremy Cameron just isn't the same Jeremy Cameron. So he's not who I'd be playing. He's not the forward I think this week is going to have the 8 goals, given that role to Joey.
Fair call, mate. Let's get on to the next game. I think we covered it quite well, and I have absolutely loaded up in this one in terms of players, and you've got a good stream of players in here as well. And I want to start with McKercher because he's a midfielder in game day squad, but that hasn't really mattered for him over the past couple of rounds. If you have a look at his form, have a look at the score output he's been having, it has been absolutely fantastic. You can see there over the last 5, 117. Cal, I want your insight into why McKercher has cracked in to your best 6 mids for round 23.
Yeah, so he wasn't in my squad heading into the team selection tonight, but then when I saw Sheasel out, and I'm just like, I wanted to get one of the boys in there this week, and yeah, I just obviously been in really good form last week, scoring 141 points, and hasn't dropped below 0 since round 6. So obviously missed a bunch of time there. Actually, now I'm looking at it, but still, he's been in some pretty good form. So I do want to play again. Bit of a pod this week. I have like someone like Goulden, right? This is almost the play you think that I've taken Goulden out. I'm going McKercher, which saying it out loud now makes me sound a bit silly and making me doubt that that's what I want to do. But with where I'm at in the season, I want to take a few more of those risks. My season is done and I'm after those weekly competitions. So that's what is keeping me going there. But obviously, Sheasel being a big out, that's probably the big news from this one, because I think he would have been a lock for everyone. So particularly if you have an all-star Sheasel, which obviously there's the last year's version, which I've got, and this year's one, which are out at the moment. So lucky few coaches hopefully packing a few all-star Sheasels as well. So yeah, can we talk about Cherry?
Can talk about Cherry.
And before I do, the legend Todd Marshall. I've got the legend Todd Marshall, believe it or not.
You do.
The legend Rowan Marshall. Trust me, it's not the Marshall you want, and he doesn't.
No.
He gets a lot of bench time. Legend Rowan Marshall has already been packed, so he is with a coach at the moment. So yeah, the dreams of getting him are not alive. But Cherry, he's still out there. So he is someone who's obviously been just in incredible form the last 3 rounds. Do you know his average? I think we said it there before. Do you know it off the top of your head?
Oh, I'd be like 163.
171. Like absurd. So for me, gold's the only rarity I have of him outside of his bronze. So if I had the platinum or even a diamond, I'd be playing it in the classic competition. I'd just be putting all my eggs in that basket. And with no Timmy English as well, it is once again going to just be an absolute cherry day. So yeah, I'd be... Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Get the best Cherry you can this week. He's going to be the highest scoring player in the whole competition again. So
nice.
Yeah, who
saying what you've done
would be saying that? So
big salary cap on him last week. Big salary cap on Marshall last week. It's finally paid off, and you're like, if it ain't broke, I need to fix it. Let's roll with it again, baby.
Yeah, it was good, and it's nice watching someone like him with the headgear. I always love playing him because he's easy to spot in the field. So
100%, mate. And Tommy Powell, resurgence, welcome back. He's back in the midfield, getting all those minutes, and now he's back into our squads, and with a bit of confidence at that as well. Talking about a resurgence, let's talk about his 3-round average of 125, 130, 139, just about putting him at 131, 132 fantasy points. That is what you call a bounce back. And for a forward to be in that sort of form, no Sheasel, they're going to be leaning on people to get a bit more ball, play a bit more minutes. And some of those minutes are going to go to Tommy Powell. And although he's already had a really good stream and a good run, it could be even better this round for me, especially with the injury news. So I thought Tommy Powell, had a look at him, was a must start for me in this one. And I know that normally the Bulldogs mids are actually quite good at neutralizing defenders, midfielders, especially in terms of fantasy. But as a forward, I'm not concerned with that at all. And it's time to start Tommy Powell.
Yeah, it's good having a Tommy Powell up and about. We just need Fisher back, and then we've got the whole North crew back up and about, which is awesome. So obviously they haven't been getting the wins on the board that they would have liked this year. They got obviously in a bit of form to finish the year, but yeah, they're fantasy players. They're back.
Yeah,
Can we talk
about Jamara?
Yeah. This is your big swing for the week, clearly.
Yeah. So Peatling was your big swing.
Mm-hmm.
This is my big swing. This is my pod forward that I want to go with for the round. And let's say pod, but I actually had a look at some of the numbers and broke it down. I don't think it's as big as a pod as what meets the eye.
Nah, I disagree. But tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay. Well, over the past 6 rounds, do you want to tell me how many times he has scored under 100 fantasy points?
I'm sure you're going to tell me it's 2.
1. So he's only had 1 score under 100 fantasy points over the past 6 rounds. Look, some of those being pretty borderline with 102 and 106. But I think in this week, I had a look at the matchup matrix and I had a look at North Melbourne versus key forwards. And over the past 5 rounds, they have the second worst hit rate with them. So they give up the second most fantasy points. And over the season, they are the number 1 at giving up fantasy points to key forwards. And I'm pretty sure last time I checked, Jamara Ugle-Hagan is a key forward. And he's out for blood in this one. I think he's going to go absolutely nuts. They just don't have someone that can mark a player like him. And I think it's going to be a big week. And I'm leaning on this pod. And if it pays off, it's going to be fantastic.
I know forward stocks are thin, but I never thought they'd get this thin where Ugelhagen is getting the call up for your squad when you're still chasing that top 10.
You have Peatling. Don't say,
Yeah, but
and look,
I
you
can
see I'm chasing the top 10. It's done. It's done. It's over.
Yeah, you're probably right. 2 rounds to go.
It was over after last week's performance. If I had a gun week last week, I would still have a chance, but the chance is truly the window is closed, mate.
Well, all I'm hearing is you're 8 goals away for Ugelhagen from being back in it. So you know what? Power to you. Power to Ugel.
Make that 20. But
he needs
20 goals this round. I'm back in it.
He needs that Jesse Hogan 220-point day to get you back in it. But again, if you get the key forwards right in GDS and you nail it, they pay off big. But there's obviously, if he's having a bad day in front of goals or things aren't going so well, not a great player to have in your squad. But I like it. I like it. Give the forward some love.
I've got Marcus Bontempelli. I just think, look, the numbers don't scream start Marcus Bontempelli, but he's back in form. He's back to looking like, well, he's always looked like the best midfielder in the comp, but especially in terms of fantasy, coming off 147, 157 fantasy points, just gut feel. He's just clearly the best and the most talented player on this field when they're going to start this game, and that's going to show at multiple points, and I think it's going to convert into a really good fantasy outing. So I've avoided the Treloar. I've gone with Treloar a lot this season. I think it's Bont. Give him the call up, and he's into my mids.
Yeah, I actually had Bont in my squad at some point in the lead up to tonight's show as well. So I hear the logic, but I'm curious to see why you haven't gone Treloar, because you've been more of a Treloar guy. So I know you said you have rolled it. Is there something in particular? You just think that Bont will...
No, I'm just looking at them matchup to matchup. Uno v Mano, and I'm going, Marcus Bontempelli is going to win that, so I'm going to put him in my squad.
Backing in the talent. Fair enough.
Yeah. Didn't really overthink it. Didn't put as much of that. I just thought that was the feeling, and I'm going to roll with the Bont. Let's get into game 8. We've got Hawthorn versus Richmond, and there's a lot of green. There's a lot of red in this one. Let's talk about the matchup matrix and what you should be looking at, and that is defenders. Defenders look like they're going to be going big, but you have avoided it. You haven't gone any defenders, but you've gone with Dylan Moore, one of the hottest forwards in the competition, 110 fantasy points over the past 5. And can we just give it up for Dan Rioli being the top of the 5-round averages for this one? Look at that. Mr. Legacy himself. All the haters, all the doubters, like yourself, Cal, I want an apology right now.
I didn't even notice that when we put this together.
I want a live apology right now. Where is it?
I'm not giving you a live apology. You came out. Where's DeSink? If DeSink's following along, he's got the receipts. I know he's sent them in multiple times throughout the year where you were telling people Dan Rioli will finish as a top 7 defender. He will be an all-star. He might finish the form of it, but I guarantee if you've been playing Dan Rioli all year because of your preseason advice, you would have already turned off months ago. So yeah, no, I'm not giving any apology there. But I do say I will say I do like the Sicily. I do like the Sicily pick this week. It's a bit of a risk, but I do like it. The matchup obviously screams it, and he's in good, but probably not great form when you look at, he's obviously up there on the board there with 110. But like we said, there's some good defenders running around at the moment, so I can see. The case for a few other people, but I don't even know if we need to talk about Dylan Moore. He's just so good. He's going to be in everyone's squads. Obviously has the matchup this week, so it's just going to be sad if he goes into a midfielder next year. But
and he's looking like that is very, very likely and very probable. And at that, does anyone else have a friend that just you make one call about a player and they won't hang on to it? But the Errol Goulden will finish as the best fantasy.
It wasn't just one call. It was the call of the summer.
What about my Goulden takes? What about everything else that I nailed? You didn't want to bring those up. You just.
Tim English has been good this year.
I think everyone was stunned by that as well. I can't be taking the heat for that solo.
No,
I'm very sad.
I'm pretty sure your Twitter photo or your X photo is a photo of you and Tim English because you were so high on him. And I can pinpoint this moment in the season where his season fell apart, and that was when you went out and you bought his all-star off the transfer market. And I think the very next week, his season went to...
There's false news. There's absolute false news. He did have a good game with me, but look...
He had a good game. In 16 games with you, he's had a good game. Shout out Tim English. What a 2024. One to remember.
Oh, goodness. Let's get into the last one. Game 9, we have the Eagles versus the Hospital Ward Carlton Blues. At their
Oh,
injury report was absolutely stunning to witness. I can't believe how thin they're going into this matchup. And look, they are so thin. I've gone Sammy Walsh, and so have you. You've gone the gold. I feel like, look, I've liked playing midfielders, playing West Coast. I know you've liked to do that at times this season and load up on that matchup. I'm a little bit shocked you didn't do Cripper as well. I thought maybe he could creep in to you and you'd load up with a double, but definitely Sam Walsh. Talk to me about that.
yeah, I like the matchup this week. He's probably not, based on form, he's probably not in the elite group of midfielders they're picking at the moment. But I do want to play someone a little bit different this week, and I do love the matchup, and I think he is trending in the right way. And it's against West Coast, but he's gonna have to start putting this team on his back. I think if they're actually gonna, make a real crack for next week, obviously being the big game to see if they crack into the top 8. So yeah, I'm picking him. Cripps has had his Superman purple patch. I don't think that's going to continue. I think it's going to be Sammy Walsh's time. But yeah, good matchup. Going to be enjoying sitting down watching this one, and hopefully that goes well. And I've made the mistake last week of not playing Newman. I'm not making that again this week. He was obviously terrific, and is going to just slot straight back into my top 7 defenders, and playing what again is a pretty good matchup for him. So you can play any Carlton player this week and they're going to have a good matchup. Look at that, all the green against West Coast. So yeah, should be hopefully a pretty boring game, but a high scoring one for Sammy Walsh.
Yeah, it just feels like those are the only really 2 players to roll on this one. You got Newman and Walsh. Maybe you want to.
I would have loved to have played one of the key forwards. Yeah, I would have loved to have played Harry Mackay this week. If you think Carlton's season is done and you think they're going to fall apart over in the West, play Waterman. I'm not quite on that Carlton's done train. I know a few people are, but yeah, Waterman could kick 7 or 8 and kill the season. Could be how much I love watching Waterman in that final Sunday game to bring home my fantasy squad. Never comes off, but it's always a fun thought, right? I love the idea of it on a Thursday night. I've hated the actual watching it of it on a Sunday afternoon. But yeah, he like we said, he could go big, kick 6 or 7, but he's probably the only player I'd consider. But yeah, it doesn't fit my narrative for the game.
Fair enough, mate. It's time to move on, Cal. Let's look at our squads in their entirety. English game. Right there. As you can see, Cal, no forward spot. That's I assume. Joe Daniher's
that is... Yeah, I haven't checked to see if anyone's hit me up yet. If you're still watching and you still want to trade, you've got a Joey Daniher, let me know. I'll give them back the platinum steel I took a couple of months ago. But yeah, you can see I've obviously gone pretty big in on those 2 ruckmen, which I don't think is a surprise. And then I'm just playing the midfielders. I've put the salary there and kind of taken it off the rest of them. So yeah, it is weird not seeing Sheasel in there this week. I will say I'm so used to him being in the top left, but I'm going to have to roll with it. And yeah, I do want to downgrade that Peatling, but I just don't have a bronze. So yeah.
Fair enough, mate. Let's get into my squad. And that is my last week's squad. So let's show you my actual squad. Here it is in its entirety. Everyone we already spoke about. As you can see, I'm normally
zoom in just a bit.
Silvers. Like to normally put in a lot of silvers in there. So silvers in my defense, in the midfield, and then of course I've got that gold Rowan Marshall, and I do also have a gold Cherry. So you never know. Maybe I follow Cal's footsteps and just take some silvers off and load up on the Cherry pick.
First you want my GYG burrito, and then you want my Cherry gold pick, hey?
But mate, that's going to do us. The next show next week, and it'll be our final Aussie Rules show for round 24. Mate, good luck, everyone. If you made it this far, fantasy, only 2 weeks left, but there's still 2 rounds to win, especially in game day squads. So make sure you're setting your squads all the best for the round and for the remainder of the season. And if you are in the hunt for those top 10 and those prizes, I wish you nothing but the best. And clearly you're better than me this year. So well done. Cross to you. And you're much better than Cal at that, that's for sure. But
definitely.
Any final comments, Cal? Anything you're leaving with?
No, maybe if you are still in that race, hit us up. Maybe you guys could be doing the shows next year. Maybe we can actually learn something because, yeah, it'd be nice to be in the prize card hunt because you said it's our last show next week, which it will be round 24. But we do have something exciting coming up, Tom, in relation to the prize cards. There might be a live event we're doing for the winners, a bit of a live draft that we're working through at the moment. So still need to just finalize a few things before we start announcing it all, but I'm pretty pumped for it. It'll be pretty good to announce those winners in our competitions throughout what has been a big year, and then reward them with what is hopefully a nice prize card to their squad.
That's it, mate. But alrighty, we'll catch you all in the next one, and our next live will be Bales and I next Wednesday. Women's Aussie Rules rankings for the 2024 season.